Obsidian bases, apps, and stuff. I have no
We're
team.
going
That's how.
full developer coding, like nerdy app software
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Uh, so do you want to start off with your app that you developed and your experience with that?
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I have developed an app called Unstuck. It's designed to use perceptive systems and journaling
Hmm.
and dice rolling as a randomization kind of prompt to help people get unstuck. It all started just because I wanted a dice roller. That
I'm
was
going to do
mine
this one
for
small thing, and then
just
it
one
like
tiny thing. And then I was like, oh, what if I put journaling in there? Because a lot of people like to journal. It's a really popular way of getting your thinking outside into the environment. So I'm like, cool, let's do that. So I implemented journaling. And so I have limited code experience. I know enough to be dangerous to get my way around if it's decent, like laid out and it's well
it's got
commented. I can sort
comments.
of
Yeah,
figure stuff out. So I started vibe coding. I think we touched on it last week.
yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
did. And so I started vibe coding using Lovable. Um, it's it is a great and frustrating experience all at the same time.
Yes.
I learned a lot about how to make Lovable do what I want. One of the big things with Lovable is I didn't use the chat command anywhere near as much as I needed to.
Interesting. Why?
Because the chat command is the one that helps you kind of, because of course I don't know enough about code to know what's going on. When there are bugs and errors, which is what we dealt with when you were playing with yours,
Yes.
it automatically just does the first possible thing that fixes it, which very rarely works, as developers will probably tell us.
Yep.
There are so many different things it could be, different ideas and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And
Dependencies on
so,
other bits of code, and if you
yeah,
change
and
this, it then change
so
that file, and
basically, if you use the chat function and go, hey, this is a bug, this is an error, like go through everything, go through like all of the pieces. And so I'm like, okay, okay. And once I started doing that, it started fixing things. I also was very much going, oi, this is not fixing my problem. I had a huge authentication problem for like ages. That was just breaking everything multiple times. Um, and it took probably about a day and a half to try and get it fixed, of just going back and forth on prompting, um, which is fine, but it does use the credits incredibly quickly.
yep.
And frankly, it's bloody expensive. Like, it's not cheap. It's around 50 quid a month,
Yeah. Ooh.
which is
It-
quite.
It's one of the reasons that I enjoy Excel. I know it's going to sound really weird to a lot of people. And I said this to an accountant the other day. There was an accountant at a sports event, and she was saying, "Oh yeah, I'm an accountant. I work and do deal with the numbers." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I like Excel spreadsheets." And she said, "Yes, when you're not in them all day." But I think there's a difference between being in a spreadsheet all day and working on a spreadsheet all day. And I think it's the same with vibe coding, developing software. Like when you're when you're using the thing, it becomes a job. It's a chore. You're using the tool, whatever app it is. And we'll talk about some apps later. But when you're developing it, there's a different experience, and that different experience is it can be amazing if you know what you're if you can troubleshoot, if you have the expertise to be able to troubleshoot it, you're constantly finding problems, and it becomes like a game. Like
Yeah,
you're like, okay, I'm gonna. Well, it's kind of like Minecraft or Roblox or any of those like self-development building games, like or building a Notion template. I can do this, and then I can do that, and then I can put these things together, and I could weave this around. But with vibe coding, what I found is because I didn't know all the blocks in the game, and I didn't know some of the problems that might arise if I put certain blocks in certain places, I was very reliant on the AI to tell me what blocks went where. And I feel like that's what you're discussing. It's kind of like I know there's these couple of base blocks, but I don't know all these other blocks that could go into this thing to build what I want. I know that I can see blue there, so it's going to be a blue color of something. But where's the blue thing? And you try and troubleshoot your solution that the AI has given you. That's what I found, which is why I like Excel because I know what's going on. Which is why I kind of want to learn to code because then I can actually know what's going on. But that's like a whole like profession. So,
Yeah,
do you think that
yeah,
matches up with your experience?
yeah, very much so. It kind of is also like the Notion thing and why I liked Notion so much because everything was on the front, and then I kind of wanted more. Like it seems like there's this flow as you go through learning how to and like what you want to do, leading to just, well, let's just code. Like
Hmm.
let's just learn to code. I think Notion was my Excel. I never liked Excel. I don't like spreadsheets upset me and annoy me and bug me.
Why?
I don't know. There is just something I cannot visually look at a spreadsheet and go, yes, I understand. Like for me, there is, and I have no desire to understand
I mean, you can make
spreadsheets.
Excel spreadsheets look pretty. I have no interest in making them look pretty. If anyone was to look at my master spreadsheet for Respawn Trampoline, they would probably throw up with the amount of numbers. But yeah, I can. I think if the spreadsheet is organized in a way that you know what formula is in what box without having to click into the box, then it makes sense. If you don't, like some spreadsheets I've seen people, it's literally just a sheet of numbers. And you look at it, and you're like, yeah, if you change one number, like 17 different numbers change. You see like the whole thing just like flash. You're like, okay, why? What happened? Um, so that I can understand, but yeah. Then everyone's a little bit different when it comes to their viewing preferences, which is why we have user experience and people moaning that the color's too bright or the color's too dark or yeah. Um, and yeah, you can't please everyone, which we already know. But when it
No.
comes to all of the apps and app development, I guess it gives you an appreciation for the developers. When people say, "Can we just have this small feature?" and they're like, "Well, I can add it, but how do I make
Oh
it?
my
What
gosh.
do I make it look
Like
like?"
I had the original version of Unstuck up and running and it was fine. And then someone was like, you should lean more into the role-playing RPG elements that you're trying to do and what you're promoting. I'm like, well, that's just a front end shift, isn't it? That can't be complicated.
Yeah, it's when someone like for work with Morgan, I'll say, "Oh, can you just?" Those words. As soon as I say it, the developers look at me with like this like evil eye, like, "Okay, what's the just? Can you just change the color of a completed task?" No, because it's archived, it's now not loaded. And because it's not loaded, we don't save the color for it. So we're going to have to reload the task. But if you reload the task, now the whole app slows down. So now we need to somehow save the previous color of the task to somewhere else, which means we now need another store. You're like, all I wanted to do was change it from blue to pink. You just don't consider all these other things that go on behind. So it's
No.
not a can you just, it's a is it possible to? Well, that's not even accurate because yes, it is possible. Is it realistic that you might be able to add this feature on top of all this other stuff you're doing? It's just yeah.
I mean, if you were to look at my own Unstuck app, you'll see most of them as testing to see if this damn works. Deciding how to fix things for this app. Like literally, that is a lot of my examples of actually trying to get unstuck. Because of course, as I'm learning, I'm getting more familiar with what's happening. But with Lovable, I'm it's all being hidden.
Hmm.
And I'm now reached a point in this app's journey where I'm like, I don't want this hidden anymore. Like I want to actually see
What's going on?
what code does what.
I think that's actually one of the reasons I moved from Notion to Obsidian.
Yes.
Because Notion is very front end. Obsidian is not. If previously, before Bases came out, the new feature that we will be discussing, this is a segue to it. Before Bases came out, Data View was your databases. Notion's databases, way more features than, well, way more features than Data View if you're not a developer.
Yeah.
Um, and so when you're looking at Notion, you think, oh, I can do all these things. It's great. Um, but if you want to make a small little change to one of the filters, you can't because Notion doesn't let you do it. Or if you want to add a formula, you have to know Notion's way of doing the formula. Whereas in Obsidian, it's the code's way. And so a lot of the code and the functions and the way that Notion works, I understood when I used Obsidian. Then when I went back to Notion, I was like, oh, you've actually made this harder by making this easier. Which is kind of like it's an odd feeling. Well, it's an odd feeling because it's expertise reversal effect is you knowing more, so the simpler solutions actually become a little bit more complex. And I was talking to another developer about this recently, and they were saying that it would be easy to have a website where it's just a coded website than if it was like a Webflow or a Wix or a Squarespace because they're no code builders. And the developer sees the world in code, not whatever builder is being used. And so, as an Obsidian user, I now look at properties as keys and values. I don't look at properties as a column and a page of a database. I can because I've had that experience, but understanding the underlying bits really helps. And now with Obsidian, now with bases in Obsidian, you can see
Mm.
the filters as filters.
So cool.
You can actually see like the behind the scenes of what Obsidian is filtering, not just that property. It's file.folder bracket contains whatever. Like you can actually see the code there, so you can make your own custom filters far easier. And formulas, of course. The formulas in those bases are going to be amazing because when you look at the data view functions that are available and they're adding more functions, it's just going to be it's going to be better than Notion. I think it already equals Notion's tables, in my opinion. Like it's got the sorts, it's got the filters, it's got the formulas. I think the
They,
only,
I think Notion stuff has gone a little bit too far the other way.
I mean, they've gone enterprise. And I wouldn't say they're actually focusing on Notion. Like you got note taker, AI talky stuff, and email, and yeah, they're kind of
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's not the same. It's not the same. Like, and I think it's just grumpy, experienced person who likes to use the app the way that she wanted to use the app now can't use the app the way she wanted to use the app and now just uses Obsidian.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say though, I think the biggest limitation I found so far, which might just be me not having played with bases enough yet because I've only spent like half an hour with it, and 20 minutes of that was recording a video to share my thoughts on it. Uh, but when you add a property to a base, the property isn't automatically added to the file. So yeah, I think if you add information into the property with the file, it will then add the key and the value to the file, but I'm not sure. I still need to confirm that. That was something that I was fiddling around with before we got on the call. So, um, yeah, something worth exploring. But you've got inline databases as a Notion term because you can put the bases and embed them into any file, so you can show them, which is just and it functions. It's not just viewable; it's functionable.
So cool.
Functionable? Functional.
Functionable.
I was
Blah, blah,
like,
blah.
that is definitely not a word. It sounded like a word and sounded cool, but it's definitely not a word.
Meanings are in people, not words. So that is a word.
Well, you understood what I meant, even though it was.
Exactly. So there we go. I understood you.
It does add a question though,
Mm.
because we now have bases in Obsidian and essentially database use in Obsidian. You can put links in there, so you've got relations, you've got relation properties, um, in links and outlinks. does have the question of whether you could recreate all of the stuff that people have done in Obsidian, but on a file level, as in using a file as a task, using a file as a project, same way you would do in Notion. And if you can, anything that's been created in Notion, like anything in created in Notion, the habits, the recurring tasks, the dashboards, the CRMs, the CPMs, the OKRs, KPIs, projects, goals, life stuff, all of that stuff that people make in Notion, if that can now be created in Obsidian, there's a big how would I well, it's a big threat. It's just a big threat to Notion. I've even debated about looking at using Obsidian bases for Eastbourne Trampoline
That's so cool.
because the struggle that I had trying to do it all in Obsidian was the querying. Like querying all of the people, all the information that was on the people was the hard bit. And
Yeah.
what I can do is export from Obsidian to an Excel CSV because the databases export to a CSV. So fingers crossed they could import from CSV. But I could do my data input in Obsidian. I can do my searches in Obsidian. I can create custom views in Obsidian. So I don't have to do a load of custom stuff in Excel. I can do it in Obsidian. And if we get a load of functions that come into Obsidian, I could do some of the other stuff that I'm doing in Excel in Obsidian as well, which I think could could add a lot of flexibility to the way that we use Obsidian files, Markdown files, because the bases give you so many querying options, filtering options, etc., 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 and you can add notes to it. So, as an example, a register, I can filter for the register in Excel if I've got all 5 sessions on the same worksheet. So, as an example, if I have 20 people in session one, 16 people in session two, and 10 people in session three, if I filter by people that are going to turn up in session one, all of those rows are hidden. So if row 7 is hidden because I filtered session 1, row 7 is also hidden for session 2 and session 3, and they might be people that turn up. So I need to have those registers either on different sheets, sorry, inside of the worksheet, which is a pain in the bum, or I need to filter and unfilter, filter and unfilter, filter and unfilter, because Excel is just a spreadsheet. In Obsidian, I can just have a filter database, which would have all of the registers as inline, but I can filter for session 1, session 2, session 3. And I could do that on my phone. And then I can add notes underneath it as well.
And that would be so cool.
Uh-huh. And potentially, because of the way Excel works, I mean, it will work exactly the same as in Obsidian. Um, but dates going across the columns, tick boxes in Excel are kind of annoying. They're just annoying tick boxes. It's really just a true or false. Whereas Obsidian, because it's a property and a base, it's a tick box. So I can do tick boxy stuff inside of Obsidian, export it to Excel, and then just input it into the pivot tables that I'm using for the analytics. For those that are not code savvy or understand this stuff, apologies, but this is fun. But
That,
you see the
oh,
potential there,
yeah. I was just thinking for the D&D stuff.
and you can
I
imagine
had
quick using
what,
Quick Add.
yeah. You got the
Using the quick
D&D
add
stuff.
plugin, you'll be like, okay, name of person, this, then this, then this, and this, and this, and this. And then, poof, there you go, new person added.
And it's all owned by you.
Yep, it's still local. I'm excited. I'm gonna do some fiddling when, if I make some time, have some time, don't sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is the bit that I am definitely it's taking up so much time with the development. Like
Mm,
that right there takes so much time.
yes.
Like just
Yeah. It is challenging. Development is challenging. But we're both in learning situations. You're learning to code. I'm learning potentially to code. Probably not because I just don't have the time to put into it. Uh, but yeah, yeah, it's exciting. This could be a short episode unless you want to add anything else.
this could be a short episode, yeah. I don't have anything else to add right now.
No, it's kind of it's one of those weird ones where I've spoken about it. I'm excited about it, and I don't want to talk about it. I want to do it. I just wanna go back to my little hole and fiddle around with properties and databases and Excel spreadsheets.
Cool. Well, a very rare short episode.
Yeah, right. Thanks everyone, and
I'm gonna go play.
yeah, have fun. Bye.